Hey there, it's September 16th, 2018. I'll just recap real quick what I did today on the bus. I added 3 solar panels and a different charge controller as well. Crap, man, it took longer than I thought. I guess I got a little nuts with the wiring. I'll show you what I did. And I'm at work, so I'm plugged in. Oh yeah, I also wired in a 55 amp charge controller, so when we're plugged in, it'll charge the batteries. Now I have to work on my battery infrastructure. So each panel is 100 watts. I started out with that one over there that's a different size. That one is a 100 watt polycrystalline, and the other 3 I got on Amazon monocrystalline. And I do my wiring inside, make splices inside in the ceiling. And what maybe took this longer was I made electricians call it a home run for each each panel back into the controller. So I actually did something different maybe other people wouldn't do or would do, is I made put in a little fuse block. So I have a 20 amp fuse for each panel. Fans. Got one blowing in, one blowing out. And there's my nap. I got that mattress for napping. It's great. So I have a little fuse block here. And so I have 4 solar panels, 4 wires coming in. And that will, give us protection, where I can isolate if I think there's a failure or efficiency problem. And so that's what I did. I ran out of time, and I need currently I'm just using this one battery for my sort of mock-up battery, and there's the charge controller that I put in. The yellow thing is a 2000 watt inverter that'll run the bus 120 volt infrastructure. So when I'm plugged in, I can now use this charge controller. But I needed my torch, and I left that back at the house. So this stops. I just put wires right onto the lugs temporary, just so I can see it work, and it works. Thank goodness. So that's what I did. And so my splices are up in the ceiling here. They'll get tucked away, and then this will all get rooted into the wall. I'll cut the wall open eventually and slide all that in behind the skin of the wall. So that's what we got. Took a long time. It was hot today too. And oh yeah, I'll show you the charge controller. I had a 20 amp charge controller, a Go Power. I like the Go Power stuff. And so there we go. This is a 30 amp version. And what's cool is that it splits. So I have, my engine battery on this second output. I have small wires on it now. It'll be changed to number 10s, but there's a fuse in front of it too. So, but it will maintain what they identify as the second port for batteries. It will isolate, and the primary will be charged and maintained first. And once primary, which will be my house battery or batteries, is up to par, then the solar gets redirected to what I have hooked up as engine battery. So while this thing is beached somewhere, parked or not being used, all batteries will be maintained. And I'm hoping temporary batteries will go underneath this bench, but I would love to find a battery box at a bus boneyard. Ideally, like I have a drawer outside the bus cabinet and a drawer that slides out with 2 huge batteries, and that would be ideal. I could put it, so it wouldn't be taking up interior space. And so that's kind of what I have in the back of my mind. If we can't find something, we'll make something, and that's kind of the plan. And also it's cool because then your center of gravity is lower. The bus also has a generator that's 220 volt, and so that kind of creates a little interesting logic in wiring, because all our RV connections are either 50, 30, or 20, and they're 120 volt, which is one leg. So what I'm going to do is rewire the panel, so like big electrical loads and that charger will be on, say, L2. I have this bus, when I bought it, you know, it came with like 4 little electric toe kick heaters that were built into cabinetry in various places. So I'm going to reuse them for now till I come up with a, you know, I'm not rich, so till I come up with a solution. If you're plugged in, you can use them, and that'll be cool. It will not run off the inverter, it will not have enough power, but in other words, I'm separating things that will have shore connection, I'll call it, on L2. So all the big electrical loads will be on L2. When you plug into shore power, it will know that. If I run the big generator, I can run it as well. If I flip the switch to inverter, the big selector switch in back here, to inverter, then it will only feed L1, and that'll be outlets. You know, so you can run a little fan like this, or you know, any other little electrical things. So I'm fortunate that I have this. Somebody made this nice selector switch here, and then we have this nice circuit breaker box here with lots of room left in it. So I'm going to rewire that and rearrange it so the appropriate circuits are on L1 and the appropriate circuits are on L2. That'll be it, and then we'll be good to go. Oh yeah, and then I'll make how do you call this? A receptacle on the outside of the bus, or probably in a cabinet or something. So if I have the bus parked at the house and we have a power outage, I can run the house off of the bus generator. How about that? And that's 220 volts also. So yeah, it's a 20,000 watt generator. It's Power Tech from Florida, and I do not know what kind of engine it is. And right now the water pump is not turning. The belt slips over it, so got to take that apart. But it runs. It's run before. It just recently seized up that water pump, and I also want to tap into the cooling system of it, and eventually have a manifold running through this thing, so that the drive engine, the how do you call it, generator engine, and then if I could afford it, I'd buy a boiler, hydronic boiler, and so that boiler, when you're sitting idle, would could be used for heat. Because I want to use this thing in the winter time as well. So that would heat the water, or the coolant, engine coolant. And you can have a manual valve, or you can, if you have the money, you can be fancy and get motorized valves and flip switches or build a control system. But I think that would be neat. And so my plan is, hopefully this upcoming winter, I think it's like $300. I can't remember if it was Mill Supply or Amazon had a small hydronic heater. That back area that's all messy will be the bathroom, and it will be down at the floor, and but that will be piped into the engine cooling system. And this, the farthest end, the engine runs at about 200 degrees, and so we got some good heat. And then the tanks that I'm going to install under the bus for, how do you call it, domestic water storage. I got a 46-gallon tank and a 46-gallon tank for gray. I'm gonna make a loop. I'll use copper, I guess, and insulate the tanks. You know, build like a 2-inch foam board box around each tank, but I'll have like a U-shaped piece of copper, and that can get piped into the return side of the heater, and coolant can run through it. You know, you put a bypass valve on it so you can temper the temperature, but that will keep the liquids from freezing in the tanks. And the very rear will be, you know, where the toilet will be a black tank, and there'll be provisions for that as well, to have it insulated and everything. So that's the scoop. And a lot of great plans. Don't have a lot of time and money, but it'll get there eventually. And we had fun this weekend. We went with Chuck and Jen over to got some takeout sandwiches and stuff, and I set up this little table. This was from the Sprinter van, and oh, these things are great. Anyway, had this from the Sprinter van, and so it was cool, but it's split. You know, this is one of these $5 specials, and where it's split, it's like, this is perfect. We can use this for room. Good News Bus. They have a nice table up front, and so anyway, I just put piano hinge on it, and a couple pieces of angled aluminum so that it'll hold it upright. And this is just nice for 2 or 4 people, whatever. And you know, put a little tablecloth on it so it doesn't look so crappy. And there you go. But it was lovely. So we went out and they went fishing over by Eastbury Pond in Glastonbury, and so it was kind of fun to go out. Chuck and Jen used to have a camper trailer, so they're used to the camping stuff. And but I thank them for dealing with my messy interior right now. It's not nearly finished. Oh yeah, and then I tried a little upholstery up here, and the gray is what it will be up there. This flowery stuff. It's kind of, yeah, that's kind of weird. So I bought a bolt of gray vinyl when I was doing the work trucks for the business. So I still have this vinyl left, and I think that'll be alright for up front. It's just for the up front area. And then, I hate to say it, but I rather like this blue. Well, we'll see what happens. You know, you can put a skin on top of it, you could put wood on top of it, who knows. And then we'll put the skins back up on the ceiling, and continue, you know, with the trim that'll hide the wires and stuff. But we're still running more wires, lots more electrical to go in and infrastructure. So a little bit at a time, we're getting there. Well, anyway, have a great day. God bless. If you're working on how do you call it, bus project, I think of Pierre there. At least I got my mattress now to take a nap. He says he's always brainstorming while he's doing it. And I think I'm doing the same thing, but it's nice to have a break and just take a rest, you know, and just chill out. But it's so much fun. Like, the ideas are going through your head, and you know, just kind of executing the ideas. And it would be probably dangerous if I had unlimited resources, because you'd make a lot of stupid mistakes. I do anyway, but I don't know, it's just a lot of fun doing it this way. Somebody asked me, well, how come you don't just buy an RV? And yeah, that would make sense, but this is something I've dreamed of all my life, is I guess building the infrastructures and trying your ideas, you know, like with the solar thing and hydronics. And I'd even consider making like solar water storage kind of thing for, you know, not winter time, but having some ABS piping up on the roof to facilitate preheating water, say for a shower or something like that. I don't know. And there's plenty of room on that roof, and this is not a high roof, so I got clearance. And then I go back to the Sprinter van here, tools back in, packing up for tonight. But Sprinter van, I made a lot of stuff kind of for camping and working in, and that's been a lot of fun. So continue with that. Oh, it's a bit of a mess in here because it is a work truck. So anyway, God bless. Have a great day.